challenges and made it through. People who can relate.
In just a few moments, you're going to hear the testimony of a young lady that was a rising porn star. And in the middle of her ascent into pornography, God interrupted her life, turned her around. She's going to tell you all about what God did in her life. And with her is a young lady from Las Vegas, Nevada, who also was in the porn industry. And in the midst of what was sorrow, God transformed her. I'm going to invite Shelley, Lubben, Jan, and my wife, Christy, to come and join us right now. Let's welcome them to the platform of First Family Church.
Is there an area in your life that's just too difficult to face? Does it seem like there are plenty of answers in the world, but few that ever ease your pain? You're not alone. There is help. Comfort Circles provide you with the opportunity to spend time with people just like you that have faced the same challenges and made it through. People who can relate to your struggle or addiction and help you find the answers that work. To find out more, visit us online at www.comfortcircles.org.
I'm sure that we are all aware that pornography is all around us. In fact, when you go to the adult conventions and to see what the pornographers are now doing, they're putting pornography now, working with the cell companies to make pornography available on cell phones. And this is so that young people can experience pornography without the restrictions of any adult hassling them. If they're at home and they have a computer and they're on a porn site, mom and dad may come in and spoil the whole deal. And so we are getting ready to see, beyond the internet, another explosion of pornography on cell phones. Now, there are many today, and tragically, when we listen to the politicians and all their speeches, how many of you have heard a politician in the last 12 months cry out against the dangers of pornography? They're absolutely silent about it. And why are they silent about it? The recent book, Obscene Profits, tells us that many of the major businesses now are into pornography. They're making millions off it. In fact, the entire industry garners about $20 billion annually. And no one is saying anything. And the church today seems to be impotent when it comes to speaking about moral values. Everybody's afraid to express what we will express today, that God has an attitude and God has a viewpoint about sexual behaviors. Now, Shelley is here today, and Shelley, you're from Glendora, California. And you were raised in a typical American family, mom and dad busy, not really communicating with you. You started doing drugs as a teen. And your parents got so upset with you that one day they just kicked you out of the house. And then a man came into your life. And what happened from that point on?
Well, I grew up really very lonely child, and so I hadn't really known a father's love. And so when I'm sitting on the curb in the San Fernando Valley, which is the world's porn capital, I was all alone, crying my eyes out, and this nice man came over to me, and he put his arm around me and just let me cry in his chest. And it felt so good to have an older man put his arm around me. And it turned out to be a pimp who talked me into selling my soul for $35. And I began a life in the sex industry that ultimately led me to be a porn actress.
Now, that's a whole lot in a few sentences. I mean, it's just, how do you become a porn star from a guy that on the street corner? I mean, where were your mom and dad? I mean, what was going on?
My mom and dad were just really sick and tired of having a rebellious teenager. I was a very upset teenager. I feel my parents neglected me, and I was also sexually abused, so they didn't understand what I was was acting out. And so there was all this miscommunication, and then our family wasn't in church and really wasn't putting God first. So trying to live this life without God is impossible. And there are consequences to that, and one of them was having a rebellious teenager. And so my parents really had no idea at first, but I made sure I let them know what had happened to me because I was very angry and full of rage. And that rage fueled my 8-year career in the sex industry.
When we think about pornography and we know how huge it is, I really want you to reach out to people today that this addiction's in their life. It's destroying their marriage. It's destroying the way they think. They can't even look at the opposite sex without doing what God would say don't do. When you got in the industry, I mean, we live in an airbrushed age. The porn sets are nothing like that. And I know we're on television right now and we have to be very careful in our vernacular, but the reality is that this is an industry where the girls and the guys are addicted, they're diseased. Talk to us about really what the stats say and just really how vile it is.
It is so vile that 66% of them are genital herpes carriers, and that's a low number. I'm being generous to the porn industry right now. About 28 to 30% have chlamydia or gonorrhea. Everybody in the porn industry at one time or other who's been in at least a couple of years catches an STD. It's impossible for that not to happen if you're having unprotected sex. Most of the people who join the porn industry come from broken homes. Many of the girls are sexually abused. So the porn industry actually lures in these kind of people to exploit them. So basically when someone is watching pornography, what you're really doing is you're contributing to the demise and the destruction of adult survivors of sexual child abuse who are on drugs and have a physical disease. That's really what you're watching. Because I promise you, nobody in that industry is healthy. They're not emotionally healthy. If they're so healthy, why can't anyone hardly stay married? Everybody gets divorced. So married people, why are you going to view porn to go get marital advice when they don't even have healthy relationships with their spouses? If they are married, it's usually because the man is pimping his wife out to make money off of her. Do you know how many men make money off of their girlfriends and wives in the porn industry? It's sad to see so many women abused. Men are abused there too, but the dynamics are different. I know women who have ruined, totally destroyed their reproductive systems. Okay, because see what happens is that they don't tell you when you join the porn industry is you're going to get HPV or genital herpes, and then that's going to lead to cervical cancer. See, so nobody told me that. So when I got early cervical cancer, I had to have part of my cervix removed. Do you know how many women come to me and cry and tell me how they've lost their cervixes or hurt their reproductive systems and they can't have children now? They've been totally burned by the porn industry. All it does is destroy lives.
Shelley, one of the problems with the church today is the church has basically created détente with the forces of evil. Instead of having churches that speak out against the evils of sexual promiscuity and aberrant sexual behaviors, we have pastors actually saying, well, maybe God made you this way. And it is a tragic, tragic reality and sin. And these men, these clerics, are going to stand before God, and they're going to be accountable someday in the most severe form of judgment possible. When you were in church before your descent into pornography, was there any pastor or youth pastor that did as our youth ministry here at the First Family Church does, where we teach the students the importance of purity? I mean, we have an annual purity emphasis where kids commit to purity, moms and dads come together, parents commit to help keep their kids pure. I mean, this is one of the grand occasions annually at First Family that's done in a beautiful ceremony. Did you have any of that?
No, I didn't have parents who taught me anything. I was left to myself as a child, and so that kind of child gets into trouble. And it's very hard for my parents because obviously they feel really bad about a lot of that stuff. But at that time, they just basically said they wanted to put their holes under the sand and just ignore all the problems that I was having. And actually our whole family was having. We were raised on television all the time. Where do you think I learned all my false negative thinking about what love is and what marriage is? I was sexualized as a kid watching TV. I was sexually abused. And the only training I ever got was Little House on the Prairie. Thank God I got a little bit from, honestly, that TV show. And then there was a Baptist church at the corner where, as a kid, I'd be so bored I'd always hang out down there, and the pastor would reach out to me. And he was kind, but nobody raised me. The devil raised me.
Are you a homeowner? For over 25 years, Pro Foundation Technology has helped Kansas City homeowners with cracks in your driveway or settling driveways or patios. Call Pro Foundation Technology.
Mudjacking is the art of raising concrete, and we then pump the material under pressure. It then floats the pad or driveway that is settled back into place.
Pro Foundation Technology, the cure for those basement blues.
Is there an area in your life that's just too difficult to face? Does it seem like there are plenty of answers in the world, but few that ever ease your pain? You're not alone. There is help. Comfort Circles provide you with the opportunity to spend time with people just like you that have faced the same challenges and made it through. People who can relate to your struggle or addiction and help you find the answers that work. To find out more, visit us online at www.comfortcircles.org.
People step forward to be in the choir or be in any form of leadership, we do background checks. And it's been interesting to me as a senior pastor here through the years that I've had 2 or 3 people that loved wanting to serve the Lord until I said you have to have a background check. And I literally had 2 or 3 people that walked out the door because they would not subscribe to a background check. And I have had background checks my entire ministry. When I want to focus on the family, the first thing I did was do a background check. It's crucial that we do background checks in churches today because pedophiles, sexually perverted people, like to seed themselves into a church.
Yes.
And when we have young people that go down to our youth camps, we know that the adults that are going down there are solid people. Because frequently, you can even go to a church, and if it isn't biblically based, you can run into something that would shock you. Now, when we look in the porn world, and look at the irony of this, ladies and gentlemen, the cradle of porn production is San Fernando Valley. Just go right over the hill out of LAX, in the land of John MacArthur and Jack Hayford, oddly, is the bastion of porn production. And as you know, and as I know, you go through these residential neighborhoods, and they look like normal big homes. But there's a lot going on behind those homes. Tell us about it.
Well, 80% of the world's companies are right there located in Chatsworth, California. So there's thousands and thousands of porn stars living in that area. And I've tried to reach out to many of the churches in the area, and to be honest, a lot of them are having a hard time helping me. So I've got a lot on my plate. I live about an hour and a half north of the valley. So I drive down there and hang out at their clubs and try and reach out to them. And what you'll see down there is you'll see this looks like a normal city, but if you look closer, you're going to see all of their porn production companies. It looks like small suites just all over the place. They don't have bright XXX like Hollywood. You wouldn't even really know, except for the fact that you notice a lot of people walking around there look like porn stars. And in many of the houses they film in are big mansions that people rent out because they can make money. Everybody's making money. And of course, there's no law there. There's no law enforcement. It's private. They can do whatever they want in a mansion. It's totally illegal in the state of California and the federal government, county health department, that says bodily fluids cannot touch skin. That's a law. It makes sense, right? Well, they do this illegally every single day in the state of California, making pornography. So I'm currently trying to work with the state of California, if you're listening, because we need to get laws changed. Because see, what happens is these people are spreading it out to the general public. For example, myself, I was a porn actress, and I was also a prostitute, because, see, we make a lot more money an hour being a prostitute, around $2,000, versus working 8 hours of degradation and getting abused all day. So we go and have unprotected sex with clients, and guess what? I've spread genital herpes to a married couple, and then I'm sure they spread it to somebody. So yes, in fact, the statistics from the Disease for Center Control says that it's about 1 in 5 in the general public that have herpes. In the porn industry, it's more like 1 in 3, and that's being generous again, because I know they're listening. But I'm telling you, this is a very disease-infected area. These people are mentally ill, physically diseased. They make jokes. They're so jaded. They make jokes about they're taking their 8-day vacation because they got to not work for 8 days because they caught an STD. They have clinics down there that are in conspiracy. I know the name of the doctor that you can go to get a prescription for whatever you need, and they don't even report all the statistics to the county health department. There's doctors who write prescriptions for women, for Xanax, for antidepressants, for anything they need to help them do those movies. Vicodin, you name it. Because these girls that we help, because now I've got a lot of porn stars talking to me now, since I've been doing this, they're the ones who tell me, and it's the same names all the time. That's okay. I've reported it to the authorities.
Let me also just step in, yes. And I just want to tell our listening audience, you're listening to Shelley Lubben here at First Family Church in Overland Park, and we welcome you tonight. And with her is Jan, who's going to share her testimony in just a moment. I'm Jerry Johnston. This is my wife, Christy. There'll be a telephone number on the screen, and some of you may be facing challenges of sex addiction, or maybe you have a loved one in your life who's facing that. We want you to pick up the telephone and call us tonight. We want to help you, and we want to remind you here at First Family Church, a quarter mile west of Metcalf on 143rd Street, we have a pornography comfort circle every Monday night. We're in a private room. A support group is waiting for you to minister to you and to help you. You can learn more about Comfort Circles at comfortcircles.org. Christy?
Shelley, I'm just horrified listening to everything that is involved in this kind of a lifestyle, but I want to get down to where the rubber hits the road for us here in Johnson County, Kansas, okay? Because to us this morning, California and the San Fernando Valley and the porn industry is a long way away. But let me play the devil's advocate. How many families do you think within our congregation or those watching by television tonight are actually hurting because of some form of pornography that has seeped its way into their home? Talk to us about that.
Well, from what I've been learning and from what other organizations have taught me, about 65% of men in church are viewing pornography regularly. This is just church. So imagine America, who's not in church, what they're doing. The largest group for viewing online pornography are ages 12 to 17. Wow. When I heard that stat, I was on fire. I'm a mom, and I guarantee you my kids are not going to be viewing porn at age 12. But then I thought, I have daughters. So their 12-year-old peers, boys are viewing pornography? Who's my daughter going to date? This is very serious. I know anyone in this room who's on the internet, I know you've bumped into porn. And it's very important that you understand that the pornographers are trying to ensnare you. They're trying to lure you in so they can make consumers of you because they want to make money. And I'm telling you that it will do nothing but ruin your life, but there's hope for that. God, there's nothing you can do that would separate you from the love of Christ. If God can save a porn actress, 2 porn actresses, then he can totally save you. He's just asking you to come to him and to get real and to be honest. Because you know what, you keep saying, well, I know, like here's what addicts do. I know I'll just try this, and then I know I'll stop Monday, or oh no, I'll just do this and I'll stop Tuesday. And you never stop. Porn addiction is the worst addiction because it's the only one you can't detox yourself from. This one, for sure, only Jesus can heal because of all the images that stay in your mind. It took me years to get those images out, and some of them I'll die with. And I'm telling you right now that this is the time to turn to God and get humble and say, you know what? I want some help for this, because there is help for this.
At First Family, immediately they drew us in and got us involved, and We felt like we were part of everything, like we were really needed. We loved Jerry's teaching, straight from the Bible, and he inspires you. Even at our age, we've been a Christian for many, many years, and we felt like when we started First Family, we felt like we were a brand new Christian again.
Is there an area in your life that's just too difficult to face? Does it seem like there are plenty of answers in the world, but few that ever ease your pain? You're not alone. There is help. Comfort Circles provide you with the opportunity to spend time with people just like you that have faced the same challenges and made it through. People who can relate to your struggle or addiction and help you find the answers that work. To find out more, visit us online at www.comfortcircles.org.
I want to come back to your story. You finally got to a breaking point and you surrendered to God. And everybody listened very carefully to me. When Mike Haley was here, the gender expert focused on the family, who had been a homosexual prostitute, everybody clapped when they heard Mike say, I prayed to receive Christ, but they didn't listen, I don't think, as clearly to what he said right after that. He said, it took me 5 years of very careful discipleship, attending church, in a Sunday school class, faithful to church, where I grew strong enough in the Lord to leave the lifestyle behind. Shelley equally says that after her transformation for 8 solid years, she was at Champions Church, Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, every time the doors are open, every time they asked for someone who needed prayer to come forward, Shelley came forward. She said she wore the carpet out underneath her feet because everybody said, oh, here's Shelley coming for prayer again. But 8 years later now, married to Garrett, 3 children, the daughter she birthed in prostitution, Tiffany, knows Jesus, loves Christ, pro-life, working for the pro-life cause, and her 2 other daughters, they are going on for God. Only God can do a transformation like that, and it was because she committed discipleship. Now, this is why I'm behind you, because I know you're not just a powder puff story with no depth. I mean, the last time you were here, we brought your entire family with you, if you remember. By the way, she goes to the church that Brian Head Welch goes to of Corn, who got saved and was here the other day. They go to Valley Bible Fellowship. They're in Bakersfield. So tell us.
Pastor Ron is the only pastor I know who goes to the porn conventions to reach out to those people. And you should see them line up for prayer.
Amen.
It's amazing. It's so cool. He has a booth called The Naked Truth. Is that awesome or what?
I love it. Now, tell me the turnaround. What was the turning point where you really found Christ and said, I'm leaving the lifestyle?
Well, I had been crying out for years because though we put on some glamorous forte and tell you how much we love our lifestyle and porn because we're such good practice liars, because we're in front of the camera, 11,000 videos versus 400 Hollywood videos. Yeah, we know how to act in front of the camera. And porn stars never step out of character. So we lie and tell you how much we love it. The truth is, when no one's looking, you're in your house and you're going, my life has no meaning. You're anxious all the time, wondering how my sex disease test turned out. You know, everything's hard and discouraging. And the business is so cutthroat, and you just hate your life, and it's hopeless. There's despair, and you just want to kill yourself. How many times did I try and kill myself? I have scars still on my wrists. I popped pills. I hated my life. And I just cried out to God, if you will just save me, I swear to you, I'll serve you my whole life. I made so many bargains with God. We've all made promises to God, but I told him I would keep it if he would rescue me. So I got burned, and I got genital herpes, and it just devastated me. And then not long after that, a man came into my life who was a pastor's son. And he wanted to marry some lady who had a daughter from a prostitution act who had herpes. And I thought, well, he must be the right one then, because no one else is going to want to marry me. And I married this precious man who loved God, and he just helped raise me into someone beautiful. And he was Christ to me. He used to bring rags to me and help me clean my house, and it was filthy. And I'm like, I don't clean. We don't cook. We don't do anything. We're just porn star Barbie dolls. That's all we do. And he just taught me how to be human again. I didn't even know how to be normal. I couldn't even look at people in the eyes or shake their hand. So I was like, yeah, I have my sunglasses on. I mean, go look at them. If you look at them again and read some of their interviews, you're going to see what I'm telling you. They're very sick people. And it took the love of Christ to totally win me over and then work with me a whole other 8 years. God has unlimited patience in us.
Now, talk about that discipleship 8-year period.
God is the most patient person I know. For 8 years, I would go every Wednesday and Sunday and go for the same prayer. And it was either his fault, because remember, I was so sick in my thinking that I said, Garrett, it's all his fault. My marriage is terrible. Everything's terrible. And he was so humble, and he would just say, could you pray for us? And then I would go up and go, I'm drinking, I can't stop drinking, or I can't stop cheating. You know, I had a problem with adultery when I first started getting married, because all I knew was I was supposed to have sex with men, because I was taught from a young age that's what love means. So I was very sick, and my husband really stood by me. Well, and God stood by me, and they both just loved me tenderly. And when I fell, they forgave me and picked me back up. And I kept pouring the word in, And the pastor says, the truth will set you free, Shelley. Well, I want to be free now. Well, it doesn't happen overnight. Okay, it takes time to heal. And plus, God wanted to cultivate character in me for what I do now. Because it takes a lot of character to try and take down the porn industry and love them at the same time. And I just poured that word, and you know what? As I poured it, it was the truth just pushed out all the lies, all the self-hatred I had, and the low self-esteem, and the filthiness and ugliness. And I just remember one day I walked by the mirror and I saw my smile, and I went, I'm a champion. I am a champion. That was the first time I could see it. And God was faithful to me. He never, ever has broken his word one time to me. The problem is we don't want to work his word. But I stood on his promises. I was the persistent widow in Luke 18. I drove him nuts, tearing at his robe every day. You promised I would be healed from this. Your word says, and I would put scriptures up all over my house. And do you know that all those promises came true, and God healed me of everything that I had prayed for, including non-curable disease, herpes. God is faithful.
Shelley, I think that's one of the things that Jerry and I admire most in you is your commitment to those people in the porn industry, because so many of us as Christians, when we get cleaned up and we come out of that pit that God has delivered us from, we tend to shy away from that lifestyle, from those people, and we should shy away from the lifestyle, but we should go back and try to reach those people, but only when we're solid, so that we aren't tempted and fall again. And this is where I'd like to make the introduction to Jan, because she has such a beautiful story. For the previous 2 hours, she has just overwhelmed our people. And Shelley, will you please tell us how you met Jan and let her share her story?
Jan is amazing. She's a former porn actress that God sent me, because I'm tired, to be honest, being the only voice out there for a while. It was very hard to stand there and take all the bashing and lashings, and nobody believed me. And I said, Lord, you've got to send me help. And all of a sudden, he just sent me this beautiful angel, Jan, and God has done a miracle in her, but I'll let her tell you what happened.
Well, I came from a broken home. Like Shelley is saying, a lot of the people who get into porn are from broken homes. My dad was a weekend dad. My mom, even though she loved me very much, was very strict and figure things out on your own, do your own thing, basically. And I had no idea what a real relationship was supposed to be, what love from a man was supposed to be. I had a sense of purity in that. And And just, he was okay with it. It didn't even cross our minds that it was wrong. I mean, we were providing for my daughter, and then we had a son, and then we had another son, and so he just let me do it. He just basically was my suitcase man and said, well, go out there and make money, and I'll stay here. And he didn't even really take care of the kids. And I just felt like this is what I needed to do. I hated myself for it, and I hated who I had become. I didn't even know me, but I knew that I was putting food on the table for my children. And I mean, it went on and off like that for a couple of years. I tried to go back to college, did some courses here and there, and I went to church, but God didn't mean anything to me because of what I was going through, because of who I had become. I felt like nobody was there for me. Nobody understood me. I was just lost. I was hopeless. And in 2006, I divorced my husband, and I had full custody of my kids, but it was the same situation. We needed money, and I needed to provide, and I wasn't making it. So I decided to do my first adult film at that point. And it was $300. Sold my soul for $300. But I put food on my children's table for another week. And that's all that mattered to me. And again, I didn't feel like I had anybody to turn to, so it was a necessary needs to me at that time. About 8 months later after that, I was in the same situation. No money. It wasn't coming in quick enough. So everybody who had seen my movie from before was like, you were great at that, and they're just boasting on it and telling me that I should do that. And so I decided to do it full force and got involved in the industry, and I was just devastated. I was sick of myself. I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. Began to drink heavy and take painkillers that I was taking from my back because weight was an issue for me. I was in an niche where you had to be heavy set, and so I started trying to lose weight, and it was coupled with my head. Those kind of movies that cater to that industry, in particular inside of the adult industry, they want you to be heavy, they want you to be big, they try to feed you on camera, they talk about your weight, they degrade you, and they make you believe that that's what you're worth, that you have no value. And people telling me how much they admire me, I'm like, what? I don't understand. I just don't understand how you can look at me and see something special, because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I was special. I didn't believe that I deserved anything. And, I would look at my kids and it would break my heart because my daughter is the oldest, and I didn't want a life like that for her. I could never imagine her doing the things that I had let myself do and justify it just because I needed to provide. I was heavily used by producers. I started doing my own website. A husband and a wife convinced me that it was the best way to work for myself and never have to deal with the crap of the industry again. They hurt me more than anybody else in the industry did. And I was just so desperate and lost that I was going to kill myself. And I decided that it was enough, that my children would be better off without me, that everybody would be better off without me. Nobody would miss me, nobody would care. It didn't matter. And I got on my knees and I said, God, please, I know you love me, I know you're there. And if you can hear me, you really love me and see God in me, help me. Because I can't do this and I need to live. I want to live. I want to live. And that's when I went online and I started looking for help. I actually typed in porn help and found Shelley.
And Shelley, you've been a missionary to those that have been in such a dark, dark tunnel. And I just thank God for you and Garrett doing this. And I have some pictures up here, and I wish you could be sitting right at my side. Jan, former porn star, 40 movies, transformed by the power of God. Carly with her little baby, former porn actress, 200 movies, left porn. These are people God used Shelley to touch. Jenny, former porn actress, left the sex industry. She attends church regularly and is renting a room from a Christian family. Carrie, Lila Lay, 600 porn movies, who found freedom. Tanya, 100 porn movies. And this is the story of grace. And I don't know about you, but aren't you thankful that Shelley and Garrett, her husband, and her children are going right back into the domain of darkness, pointing out Jesus Christ can be saved and delivered. Now, this is what is just so amazing to me, and I want you to hear this because we want to cover her in prayer as she goes. You know, as we said a moment ago, the church sits on the sidelines, the average church, and does nothing, and then it produces a preacher that says, well, this is okay. Well, in real Christianity, God takes Shelley out of it, transforms her, and now she's going to the adult porn conventions. And Jan's with her. San Francisco, Las Vegas. And the trade shows have the latest pornographic tricks, and all the actors are there. And Shelley's there ministering to these men and women and handing out Bibles and telling them about a God who can change and deliver them through the power of Jesus Christ. And she's doing it. And I love it. So, tell us about what that is like. I mean,
I first just have to say that there's no way in heaven or on earth that I could ever do it unless I had the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, because it has been very hard for my family. I really like to stand there and go, look how powerful it all is and how happy we all are. But I'm telling you right now, it's taken teamwork. A couple of people who are on my team are sitting down here, Scott and Emily. They've helped me. I've got awesome people on my website that help me. This isn't Shelley doing it alone. There are some people who really care, that have gotten together to make a difference. And my husband, Mr. Wonderful Support, puts up with his wife, who has, you know, the things that we talk about over the dinner table are a lot different than what we talked about a couple years ago. And then I think my children, my daughters are little, you know, and I thought there's no way I could do this. I'm going to hurt my own family. And the Lord just showed me, no, all of you are called to be missionaries. And even my little girls, the porn stars, will come to my house and they draw pictures for them and give them huggies. And then, you know, and sometimes we don't know how to handle something because maybe the person will be inappropriately dressed, or my daughter always goes, Mom, I can see her, you know. It's just funny. And so I explained to my daughter, well, we have to teach them. We have to teach them, sweetie. And so it's just really been a beautiful way to learn love. Like, I really understand the love of Christ, about meeting people where they're at and being patient and listening to them go on and on about their horror and all the sexual trauma. And then just my heart's broken for them. Like, I've been doing research on the porn industry. Last year in 2007, 11 people died from HIV, suicide, drug overdose, and homicide. That's more than any other industry. The music industry, I found 2 people. And the music industry is much bigger than the porn industry. The porn industry is destroying lives every single day. And I have asked over 20 churches in the San Fernando Valley area to help me. And not one. I asked for business cards to take to the porn convention, to invite people from the porn convention, the porn stars, to church. I said, I'll even drive down and meet them so it's not uncomfortable. Oh, I got to talk to my board of directors about things like that. I've cried up to God and said, you know what? I don't think I've started to understand the true condition of the church here. This is scaring me. I really had some fantasy that the Church of Jesus Christ was going to come along and back me up. And then once in a while you find a sincere church. I thank God for you because you're the first person ever to call me a sex industry missionary. It just means a lot to me. So I thank you all for just helping me do this, and your support. You have no idea what it means to my husband and I, because at times we become very discouraged, being beat up every day and not having a lot of support. So I truly thank you, especially for prayers. If you could just be committed to praying for my family, I would be so indebted to you.
You might also share, Shelley, about the person in our church and what they make that is distributed at these porn conventions. The little cross.
Yes, with the cross.
Oh, someone in your church, I don't know if Andrea's here right now, but she makes these little hats, knits them, and she puts pink crosses on them, and we just hand them out to the girls, and the porn stars are like, they're so touched. I mean, we don't just walk in there with a bunch of Bibles and gospel tracts, okay? They've had lots of that in the past or been bashed up. Right now, they can't stand God or Jesus. So what we do is we bring that along with gifts, beauty supplies, lipsticks. I mean, I get all kinds of stuff that people donate. And if it wasn't for them, I couldn't even do the outreaches. It's just Mary Kay consultants sending me all their samples. So we just go around and bless them. And when they come to the table, we have it all pretty. We got all this trouble, pink and all this stuff. And then behind it is the truth. So, of course, actually behind is the makeup, the truth's in front. Because in order to get to the makeup, you have to pass the truth. That's my strategy. So then we go, hey, oh, God bless you. And to make sure we tell them, and we're both porn actresses. And now they're getting to know us. Now they know who we are, and they're watching me. I just had someone the other day write me, go, I saw your video on YouTube. And... well, they didn't really say anything, but I know that they're watching me.
That's right.
Just like this video, the adult industry is going to watch it. And I just wanted to say to them right now, God loves you right where you're at. And you're made for something greater than porn. And that's what we do. We go around and tell them, hey, you're made for something greater than porn. You have giftings. In fact, I use the gifts of the Holy Spirit to minister. A lot of time God will give me a word for someone. I'm like, God's showing me you have the ability to write, and He wants to bless that. In fact, I see books. God wants you, and they're like, how did you know? And I'm like, we're the Spirit, man. We're in the convention center. We're casting out demons over here. And we're not weirdos about it. We're not walking around all loud going, We're just like, Satan needs to leave us alone. We have authority in that place, and we go around and love everyone to Christ.
Are you a homeowner? For over 25 years, Pro Foundation Technology has helped Kansas City homeowners with foundation problems. The solution is simple. Call Pro Foundation Technology.
Foundation underpinning is installing steel tubing that support the foundation independently of the soils that are not performing.
Pro Foundation Technology, the cure for those basement blues.
Is there an area in your life that's just too difficult to face? Does it seem like there are plenty of answers in the world, but few that ever ease your pain? You're not alone. There is help. Comfort Circles provide you with the opportunity to spend time with people just like you that have faced the same challenges and made it through. People who can relate to your struggle or addiction and help you find the answers that work. To find out more, visit us online at www.comfortcircles.org.
Jan, I think you should share that in Las Vegas, where Jan lives now, she's a part of the Dream Center. And we're very familiar with the Dream Center in LA and our good friend Tommy Barnett in Phoenix. And there's a Dream Center right there in Las Vegas. And so Jan, that's her church. But you and your kids have felt led of God to go to the seediest part of Las Vegas and tell everybody what you do.
Well, the children and I will wear our Pink Cross t-shirts, and we'll get the flyers and the stories, and we'll go door to door around our area because there's a lot of adult bookstores, and there's a lot of prostitution going on, and it's very, very sex oriented in Las Vegas. And there's people that are on the strip that'll just sit there and slap out these
Right.
flyers with escorts on them and pornography everywhere. So me and my kids took the initiative to go on the strip where they were standing, and we stood there with our shirts and our flyers like that.
And her story's in it. When she's with her 3 kids and they're little. Like, that's amazing.
So, yeah, I mean, God has just touched us. And my kids encourage me on the weekends. They're like, Mom, are we going to go pass out troop tracks today? Or are we going to come on, let's go? And, you know, they're so excited about it. And it just touches my heart because I know that I'm raising them the way that God would want me to.
And we applaud that kind of love for Jesus Christ. Those of you that are watching, this is First Family Church in Overland Park, and we are presenting to you 2 women that have been transformed by the power of God, Shelley and Jan, both in the porn industry, who now live a life of Christian distinction. And if you're burdened, you need help, there's a phone number on the screen. We want to help you. First Family also has a pornography comfort circle. You can learn more about that at comfortcircles.org. Just before we close, Shelley, I want you to take a moment, and I want to transition. Men who get into pornography, it is so destructive. And this is why we have also said here at First Family that every year we should read our Bibles through. We start in January. 15 minutes of Bible reading a day. You'll read your Bible through in 12 months. And I started this about 34 years ago, and I'm here today to tell you that 34 years later it works.
Yes.
I've read my Bible through so many, many times. The Word of God keeps us pure. And then we reflect on Cliff Barrows, Billy Graham's associate, who taught us when we were in Amsterdam, that when you go to a hotel, you're there for more than one night, get a picture of your family, put it in a frame, put it right on top of the TV, facing you.
That's good.
And Billy and Cliff did this so that every time they turn on the TV, if there's anything inappropriate on there, they just felt this prompting of the Spirit of God to turn the channel. Don't forget that you are a father, a husband. Every one of these porn people that get exhibited in the magazines, the movies, they're somebody's daughter.
Yes.
And I was thinking of little Casey today, and how it would just kill me if she became victimized like that. And so I want to also ask the men here. Last Wednesday night, Pastor Jeremy taught us from Colossians 3, and he gave us a famous passage that Paul said literally that when you come to faith, you put off certain things, the old clothes of sin, and you put on a new set of spiritual clothes. And I did this. Shelley, after she came to faith, there wasn't a lot of TV in her house. She was very, very careful. She had high standards in her home. You young people, make sure that you don't have any of this internet pornography anywhere near you. And you can get a filter. Or you can do what one Christian man in this church did. He said to his wife, every time I'm on the computer, I just want you to be aware of it so that you can hold me accountable. Because, honey, I don't want to betray the Lord, and I don't want to betray you. Set some accountability safeguards in your life. And there is something very demonic about this. There's no question about it. This is demonic. These sins of sexual promiscuity are demonic in origin, and you cannot play around with that stuff, or it will get in your life and it will destroy you. Now, as a Christian man, you say, Jerry, what is an antidote to having pornography in my life? Well, first, as a man, you need to take care of yourself. And folks, I cannot change the size of my nose. I've got it from now on. But I can change my waistline. I can work out. I can try to be everything I can be to be appealing to Christy. And she can do the same for me. And do you know what? Pornography and all this lifestyle is illustrated to us. These people do not have fulfilling sex. Many of them are impotent. They're so messed up. The most fulfilling sex lives are men and women committed to monogamy who have Jesus Christ in the center of their marriage.
Yes.
That is the underreported thing you'll never hear in the media.
Yep.
That is the
Amen.
truth. It is the truth.
Amen.
And that is the way. And you see, love can last for a lifetime, and sexual expression to one person, that's what we call monogamy, can last for a lifetime when Jesus Christ is in the center. But if we let in any of these false things, they will destroy the quality of our physical love making with one another, our love for God, the purity of our mind, and it will lead us where we have heard again and again and again, a dead end street. So we want to pray for those of you in a moment watching by television, and we want to pray for those of you here. And if you are in bondage, God has come to set you free. And he can break this addiction in your life. Shelley, say a word, and then Christy, will you, and we'll close.
God is so faithful. If he can heal me of genital herpes, nightmares, convulsions, addictions, wrong thinking, I mean, he didn't just heal me. He transformed me and made me something totally, completely different. We've got to stop putting God in a box and saying, oh, he can't help me, I'm such a sinner, or he can't help me because I've done this. God is awaiting. God is excited. He's like right here saying, you know what? I want to take your life and make something awesome out of it. That's his purpose. It's his high pleasure, his joy. So I just want to encourage you, whatever it is that's holding you back, any lies right now from the enemy that's telling you, oh gosh, you better not go up there and get prayer, or someone's going to see you, or so-and-so's going to see you. Who cares what so-and-so thinks? I came up every Wednesday and Sunday and humbled myself in church until I got my full healing. I never gave up on God's word. I humbled myself. And you know what? I'm so glad God took 8 years to heal me. It takes a lot of humility to do right now, and we're still in the humility process. It never ends. But you know what? I wouldn't trade any of my recovery or anything for where I'm at today, because that recovery, that time, that struggle of getting back up and falling and getting back up was when I really met Jesus. It's when I really got to know my Father. I have such a love relationship with Jehovah. Like, it's wonderful just to have him go, Shelley, do this, and we do this, and we're talking all the time and the strategy. And I don't know how anyone lives without that. He's talking to me like every 20 minutes, at least, if not more. It's just a wonderful, we have communication constantly because I turn my life over to him. I didn't let something silly like who cares what someone else is thinking of me stop me. I knew that I had tried fame, fortune, success, drugs, porn, girls, guys, whatever. I tried it all. Nothing worked for me. And I finally found the answer, which is Jesus Christ, so I could have a love relationship with my Father in heaven. And now I'm on, come on, look at all the power and fire coming out of this. This would have to be God, people. You want some of this? It's available for you right now.
Amen.
Jerry, as we get ready to close, I really want to make an appeal to those that are watching by television tonight. We're talking about pornography, and it is vile, it is decadent, it is evil. But before you tune us out tonight, I want to make an appeal to you that Jesus came to set every captive person free, and pornography may not be your issue. Perhaps you're struggling tonight with panic disorder, with depression, suicidal thoughts like what Jan described to us moments ago. Maybe your marriage is falling apart. Maybe you're facing tremendous health issues right now. That could be the pornography issue, so to speak, in your life that Jesus needs to set you free from, and he's the only one that can do it, as evidenced so clearly by Shelley's testimony today. So, Jerry, as we get ready to conclude tonight, I think we just need to make an appeal to the people to let Jesus do the greatest work that he can in their lives if they'll just but open their heart. We all came to a point where we cried out to Jesus, just like Jan did, and said, Lord, I'm at the bottom. I need your help.
And I want to remind all of us of Ephesians 4:27, where it says, neither give place to the devil. And place is telos. It is a drawer, just like in a dresser drawer. Whenever we open up a drawer of our life, the enemy will come in, and we don't want that. And so let's ask him right now, God, help me to walk in obedience. Help me to walk in cleansing. If this is in your life, repent of it. Accept God's forgiveness and walk clean. Stand with me with your heads bowed. Father in heaven, today, We thank you for your word. We thank you for the power of transformation in Jesus Christ. We ask right now that you would speak to the men and women that are here at First Family Church in Overland Park, those watching by television. May this be their day. If you're here today and listening and you say, Jerry, I'm not certain how to get forgiven. Show me how to connect with God. Pray this prayer with me right now. Don't be ashamed. We'll do it together. Dear God, thank you that you sent Jesus to die on the cross so I can be forgiven. By faith, I repent of my sin, and I invite Jesus Christ to come into my life, to forgive me, to cleanse me. I am believing on Christ right now. If you prayed that prayer, there's a phone number on the screen. I want you to pick up the phone and call it. Say, today, help me connect with God. And if you're here in this auditorium or watching and you say, Jerry, I need to get this garbage out of my life, let me assist you. Pray this prayer. Father, today, I take back any ground I've given the enemy. And I ask you to take this out of my life and to fill me with the power of the Holy Spirit, so the next time I'm tempted, I can say, no, I'm going to live a life of virtue and honesty and fidelity, and I'm not going to have a mind that's a closet full of horrible memories. Pray that prayer right now. Believe God. Lord, set people free right now in the name of Jesus Christ.
Is there an area in your life that's just too difficult to face? Does it seem like there are plenty of answers in the world, but few that ever ease your pain? You're not alone. There is help. Comfort Circles provide you with the opportunity to spend time with people just like you that have faced the same challenges and made it through. People who can relate to your struggle or addiction and help you find the answers that work. To find out more, visit us online at www.comfortcircles.org.
At First Family, immediately they drew us in and got us involved, and we felt like we were part of everything, like we were really needed. We loved Jerry's teaching, straight from the Bible, and he inspires you. Even at our age, we've been a Christian for many, many years, and we felt like when we started First Family, we felt like we were a brand new Christian again.
Are you a homeowner? For over 25 years, Pro Foundation Technology has helped Kansas City homeowners with cracks in your driveway or settling driveways or patios. Call Pro Foundation Technology.
Mudjacking is the art of raising concrete, and we then pump the material under pressure. It then floats the pad or driveway that is settled back into place.
Pro Foundation Technology, the cure for those basement